Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today's episode is about how change comes when you love your work. My guest this week is Simon Klinga, and he is the CEO of LASAR, which was founded in the Czech Republic by a team of high school students to develop advanced laser systems for orbit cleanups and satellite recovery. It was so great to talk with Simon and to learn about his work. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Simon Klinga.
Thank you, Lily, for inviting me. I'm Simon. I just turned 18 and originally from Czech Republic, but now I've moved to the US just recently. And what I'm working on is basically that with my team, we're basically developing a method to get rid of space debris particles. So like we've sent our own small satellite to space just last year on Falcon 9 with SpaceX. And basically what the method is that we are developing very powerful lasers to basically fire them to the small particles of debris in the space. Because like it may sound like a bit bizarre why to clean orbit if we have so much junk down here on Earth. Basically, the problem of space debris is getting bigger and bigger today as we are launching as a humanity about 60 satellites every week. So when they collide, they basically spill like particles of Lego. So then it basically gains exponentially as a chain reaction called Kessler syndrome. So what we are aiming to do is essentially get rid of these particles using the powerful lasers to slow them down and make them burn in the atmosphere much earlier than they would normally.
That is amazing. I think that is such a wonderful introduction, and I feel like you've got that elevator pitch down so well. I think that was perfect.
I wasn't sure whether I didn't include too much
No, that was
info at
perfect.
one time.
That was
Okay.
great. Can you tell me about what got you started with this work? Tell me about kind of what that process was like for you. When did you get started with this? When were you inspired to start with this stuff? Tell me about that whole journey.
I think like I was inspired by aerospace for like a long time since I was a small kid, I'd say. Always watched Star Wars and that stuff. So kind of makes sense to connect it with lasers afterwards. But I think with this project, especially, it got very serious when I was around 15, 16, when I wanted to join one competition in Space Center Houston called Conrad Challenge after Pete Conrad, the third man who landed on the moon. So it was like a huge motivation for this young space nerd because there were these astronauts and people from NASA as judges. So it looked so cool and I wanted to be part of it. So I just texted people I knew to establish the team. And we've basically started working on what idea we could bring during the competitions. And the competition's assignment was very broad. You could essentially bring anything from STEM and something innovative, and that was it. So I wanted to somehow connect the things I liked, meaning the aerospace, the sustainability of it, and as well the laser technology, because in Czech Republic, where I'm from, we actually have very good laser centers. So I had previously been on some short-term internship there. So it kind of make logic to somehow connect the dots. And basically the debris mitigation with lasers was the thing. So then it was very good that when we won the competition in Space Center Houston, we've got very good cooperation that's still ongoing with the laser centers, with satellite manufacturers. So eventually we've been able to send the satellite.
That is so cool. I think that is such a wonderful way to tie your passions into making a career out of this. And I think that, of course, are you still in school? Are you finishing
Yeah,
school?
yeah. I'm actually finishing high school.
Okay, that's amazing. As you've been going through school and now you're moving closer towards going to uni, if that's the path, or if you're going to go straight into doing more of this work, I think it's amazing that you've managed to do this and you've created this project. How do you manage to balance your time? I'm sure you get this a lot, but how do you do all of this work that you're doing and also have a social life, do your schoolwork, do all of the other things that you have going on? What does that look like for you?
That's a good question. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not that good. I'd say, I mean, I just love so much what I'm doing that it's not that big deal for me, I'd say. Because, most of the time when I'm doing the thing connected to the project, I just like it and I'm just enjoying it. So there's no strict border between what's like kind of work, what's fun. And the school is sometimes it's hard to kind of do all of it at the same time. Like right now, for the last few weeks have been actually quite busy because I've moved to the US to basically do my senior year here, but I'm still kind of simultaneously doing the school back in Czech and still trying to do the project. So it's kind of a lot of fun. But I mean, I like it. I also like that I have the possibility to kind of change what I'm doing every time. I say that it's very diverse, that especially in the projects, sometimes it's about the team structure, leading the people. Sometimes it's about the tech and the simulations. And sometimes it's about finding money to launch the satellite. So it's very diverse and I like it very much. But I think it's very good. I mean, in the past, I've been probably trying to push hard and kind of focus only on the project itself. But then I find out that it's, for me at least, better way to also implement, I don't know, some sports, some friends, etc. So it's more diverse because then I feel I can focus better in long term. So I'm trying to do that.
I think that's great, mixing up your time. And it's wonderful that your work doesn't feel like work and there's no real strict boundary for that. I think that's so important, especially when, you are leading a team and you've got this huge project that you're working on. That's amazing. So what is next for you? I know that you said you're juggling all of these different things. What is next for your work? What is next for you as far as school? I know that you're probably at this crazy pivot point. So tell me as much as you can, but what is kind of in the cards when you think about your work in the future? What's next?
For me, essentially, I'd say my primary project is myself. So basically, I'm trying to become a person who could potentially somehow help with aerospace in Czech Republic or maybe somehow nationwide, but especially in Czech Republic because I mean, I like my country where I'm from, and I feel like the Czech aerospace community has a big potential, but still it's very small. I mean, everybody essentially knows everyone. And now we are having these discussions about sending the first Czech astronaut to space after a long time and all of it. And I mean, I enjoy very much to be kind of part of it. So now, my goal, like with the project for me and the team is to get as close as possible to really deliver the tech that we've promised. So basically, go further and further with laser centers because it's also good that the cooperation with laser centers is not only good for us as we can learn so much from these people who have all the PhDs in the world, but we can as well, or they can have the real application of their lasers in space tech, which they didn't have before. So it's kind of good that we can cooperate in that way. So it's also kind of trying to connect the dots to use what in Czech Republic is already present to leverage it in the future. And ongoing, we'll be doing a lot of tests with our satellite to get the data, also to not only do the tech, but also to do kind of the scientific popularization things. Because right now, shortly in a few months, we are starting to send antennas to schools, which may sound weird, but it's like kits of antennas that the students at school can build with their teachers, and then they can essentially aim the antenna to the satellite. So basically, they can hear live what the satellite is transmitting from the space, decode it, see where it is, and all of it. So we are also aiming to do courses for kids to learn how to code a satellite, and then they can take their own picture of all the people in the world, like the biggest selfie I'd say you can make, based on their code, which they program, and then we send it to our satellite. So I think one thing is the tech, doing what I always wanted to do, but the second thing is trying to get as much people on board. And I'd like to do that in the future as well.
That is so amazing. I think that project with the biggest self, that's awesome. The antennas, I think that's wonderful. Your work is very different from what I would say my work is, but also a lot of the people that I've interviewed, I think that you are doing something that to me feels so complicated and so difficult to kind of break down. Do you find it difficult to explain what you're doing to people? You did it very well to me just now, but has that been something that you've had to work on? What has that been like to try to take all of these big ideas and distill them down into an elevator pitch or tell people about the work that you're doing? What has that been like for you?
I think it is sometimes hard to not oversimplify too much because then you kind of lack the precision of what you're saying. But I mean, for me, whenever I don't know, I do some explaining, it's not that essential that I transfer like 100% of the information. If what's essential for me is whether I transfer the impression, I'd say. So when we've with the teams and the satellite and then get the media and all of it, I think for us what was most important was to say that, hey, in Czech Republic, a bunch of high school students can send their own satellite to space and it's real today, rather than explaining to every person the precision with how it will work and et cetera, the physics behind it. Because I feel most of the people don't actually like need to know the very specifics. I think mostly I want to motivate and inspire the people so they could potentially try start some of their own projects and then they can learn it themselves. So I think there's like also a parallel with what teachers I like the most in my past. And I think always it weren't the teachers who actually explained the things the best, but probably the teachers who inspired me the most to then do the work on my own in free time, because then you have no border between the work and the free time, and kind of everything is then super fun and you're still learning. So yeah, so I'd say sometimes it's a bit hard, but I feel it's like necessary to simplify so that people can understand it.
I do think that makes so much sense. And I think that it also helps, like you were saying, with inspiring people to also do this work or to realize that it is something that they're interested in even. I think that's such an important piece of communicating the work that you're doing. I have one more question for you. Lots of young people want to create change, make a difference. What advice would you want to share with young people who might want to do some of this work but don't know where to get started?
I'd say if you start with anything, it's better than not starting because you just need to kick the thing and keep going. And I feel the worst thing to do is just like struggle and stuck in the point of not being sure what to choose and not actually choosing anything. I think it's good. If you don't know, then it's always better to just pick randomly and try it than do nothing. Because if you do whatever, then you'll learn whether it's the way you want or not. And then you can always change it, or most of the time. And then I'd say to not care so much about what other people think about the idea or the motivation or anything. I'd say it's very good and necessary to have like feedback and ask for feedback intentionally, because it's very important, and then you can improve your project a lot faster. But I think like most of the people are so much like thinking only about themselves because they have so little time that they can't actually see all about you or your project. So I feel that it's also a good thing to not get demotivated by other people's thoughts if they're negative.
I learned so much through talking with Simon, and you could probably tell he is very passionate about his work, which made our conversation so much fun. Simon's passion for his work is exactly how I want to close out this episode. It really resonated with me when Simon was talking about how his work doesn't really feel like work, because he enjoys it so much, and he's always switching it up and doing different things every day. I think that is such an important perspective to have, especially because a lot of work to make change can take many, many hours, often with little pay, and can sometimes be emotionally draining. You have to be passionate about the work you do, just like Simon, and change comes when you love your work. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Simon on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I included those links in the description of this episode. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at BeTheChangeMediaNetwork. I'm working on expanding Be The Change Media Network, which means bringing you more inspiring stories from amazing guests. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave the podcast a rating and a comment, because it will help these stories to reach, educate, and inspire more people. And I would also love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.